What is up, Pisces? How are you guys doing? It's time for your weekly check-in. We're going to see how these energies are looking for you guys in the first week of February 2026. If any of you are in need of a personal reading, all the information on how to go about doing that is in the description of this video. All right, let's jump right into this. Let's see how these energies are looking between Pisces and the person they're dealing with. Remember, weekly check-ins are just a short, quick, general energetic overview. How's the energy looking? First week of February 2026. Empress reversed. Some of you could have kids with this person, maybe. Could be a Taurus for some of you. But, I mean, y'all are not finding stability at all. Man, this person really... Well, I'm not going to say this person. I'll say this connection, this situation really bends you out of alignment. Like you are so far out of your element. I know this may sound kind of weird, but I feel this real strong feeling of some of you questioning, like you may feel like you've lost yourself over this whole situation. I say that because the Pisces card came out reversed. I guess you could be dealing with a fellow Pisces, but with the Three of Swords right next to it, yeah, that kind of feels like something that's just completely bent you out of your element. You know, you may feel like you don't even know yourself anymore. There's somebody here, I can't tell who, that wants this to be a life partnership. Somebody does. Somebody here is not cool with the idea of this coming to an end. Okay. Well, that's so vague. Ten of Cups reversed, though. Empress reversed. It doesn't really look like happily ever after status is happening anytime soon here. Actually, this kind of feels like whatever it was that happened or kept happening put a permanent dent in this connection that just can't be popped out. It just can't be. So, okay. I wish it would go a little deeper than that. It's not really going any deeper than that. All right, let's see what signs we have on the table. Some of you could be dealing with a Libra. I also have Aries, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Gemini. Could be anybody. Those are just energies. Let's see how they feel about you. And more importantly, what their energies look like. What kind of person they are in general. I wish I would have gone a little bit deeper than that. A little bit deeper, not too much. This is one of the most annoying cards to jump out when I'm looking at somebody's energy. Believe it or not, as little sense as that makes, this jumps out a lot. I call it my jumper. When I'm very first shuffling for a brand new spread, I'll look for one to jump to give me a reference point for where to start. And when it comes to the person you're dealing with and their energy and intentions, this jumps out. And it never really makes any sense. Not really. Let's see what else comes through around it. Hangman reversed. Yeah, so. All right, so. I don't know. This is kind of confusing. This seems like a very confusing individual. So, first of all, this person is very, very narrow-minded, very stuck in their ways, very much so. They don't want this to be over, but they also want to explore other options, if that makes sense. I want to have my cake and eat it too. Does that make any sense at all? I don't want this to be over. I want you, but I want everyone else too. You know what I mean? This person's very defensive. Very, very defensive. I don't know. This is like my way or the highway type of thing. I don't even know how to explain this. This kind of feels like a pretty dark energy here, to be honest with you. It really does. I want this to be a life partnership, but I also want to keep my options open and play around. I don't know any other way to explain that. This is weird. This is really weird. Okay, well, I think you're just dealing with somebody that's, they're not, I'm not going to say mature enough. I don't want to use the word mature. They're not at a place energetically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually to be able to lay that foundation, because it doesn't work like that. You hear little stories of people trying that, and I even if you were in agreement with it, I personally have never heard of a story of that turning out successful, even if you were cool with that. I'm not trying to go all the way down this rabbit hole, but you know, it just, you don't lay a solid foundation like that. And it kind of feels like this person lives in la la land a little bit. As weird as this sounds. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Okay. Let's just get the advice here. I'm going to clear the air after this. Hang on. I don't know what kind of energy y'all are dealing with. All I'm going to say is, if it was me, I'll just give you personal advice. This isn't spiritual advice. This isn't tarot advice. This is just Rich Lopp advice, the way I handle my own personal shit, my own personal life. I'd stay the hell away from that. Oh, I'd stay away from that. That sounds like a toxic mess of a trap that if you get stuck in it, you ain't never going to find your way out of it. That's just me, though. Let's just see what wants to come through. Okay. All right. So, look what came out again. The Hangman reversed. All right. So, all I'm really going to tell you is that, you know me, I try the best not to just tell you what to do. I took this approach over the course of 2025. Let me tell you a short story real quick, okay? Used to, what I would do is I would tell you, hey, this is something you need to stay the hell away from. You know, you need to get away from this person, you know, or something like that. Over the course of 2025, though, I had two very specific clients that kept coming back to me over and over and over and over and over all year. They were both male clients dealing with females, and every single time I would tell them, and these were two separate people. One of them lived in a different country. They weren't even related to each other. But they both had similar situations. They would ask me the same question. I'd tell them the same thing. And what I said would happen, happened every time. And they just kept coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back over and over and over and over and over and over. Well, somewhere near the end of last year, I want to say maybe around fall, one of these people came back to me and they said this: I didn't take your advice last time, and what you said would happen, happened. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Hey, long as you learn. I'm not making fun of you. I'm not judging you. I'm not putting myself above you. My goal is to help you. So hopefully, you know, that helped you. And then he said this, and I quote, should I try again? I said, yes, I think you should. Yes, sir. I think you should. She's already shown you how many times who the fuck she is. Yep. I think you should spin around in circles on that merry-go-round over and over and over and over and over and over and over until it clicks. It was at that point that I stepped back and I was like, just simply telling somebody to walk away doesn't help. Even if the evidence is right in front of your face, even if I tell you this is what's going to happen if you do this, and it happens right in front of you, if you're not ready, it makes no difference. So I've started revising the advice that I give on situations like this. I'll tell you the energy of what you're dealing with, and you take it and do with it what you will. This person is very, 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 very stuck in their ways. This person has no plans or intentions of changing anything about themselves at all. Now, let's step back. I'm not finger pointing. I'm not saying that it's their fault or your fault. In order to build a life partnership and sustain it successfully, both of us are going to have to constantly, consistently grow, evolve, and change over time. Both of us. It doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on. If you believe you have nothing that you need to work on to grow, develop, and change, you're the problem. We all do. We're all regular ass humans. We all have a red flag. We all have a toxic trait. We all have at least one narcissistic tendency. We all have some bullshit emotional trigger that usually stems back to childhood that impedes on our daily life in one way or another. We all do. Anybody that thinks they don't is fucking delusional. So even if I'm not the one in the relationship that has the most issues that I need to work on, even if I'm not the one that's the primary catalyst for the majority of the problems, I still need to be looking at myself and constantly working to improve myself, right? So we're not even doing the finger pointing thing with that advice. This person has no desire to do that. They literally see no issues with their actions at all. At all. They are very much in the mindset of you need to do things my way. If you would do things my way, it would work. I don't need to change nothing. I'm not the one doing anything wrong. You're the one that needs to stop doing this. You're the one that needs to start doing that. If you would just start doing this way and stop doing that way and do it my way, it would work. And they're very, very, very stuck in that mindset. So because of that, if you continue to play the game, you'll continue to win the same prize. Take that and do with it what you will. All right. Let's see how things are looking generally for the singles. How's it looking for single Pisces? Anything new coming in? Anything old coming in? Anything good coming in? Anything bad coming in? Anything coming in at all? First week of February. I kind of feel like there's an option or an opportunity around you that you may not be aware of. I don't know. I don't know if you're not aware of it or if you're not interested in it. I guess if you know who I'm talking about, take that. If not, like some of you are like, oh, I already know who the hell he's talking about. Some of you are like, what the hell is he talking about? Some of you may know about it, some of you may not, but the Four of Cups is the card that most readers say is a missed opportunity. I don't like using that phrase for that card, but that is one way to look at it. It's not really clearly depicted in this deck, but it's somebody who is either A, personally rejecting an opportunity on purpose, or B, they're just completely not even aware of it, right? And what this referring to is the cup behind him. He's not even aware that it's back there. But in some instances, he is aware that it's back there and he's not paying attention to it because he doesn't want to. See what I'm saying? Okay, well, I don't really see a whole lot happening with this, though. With the Fool reversed, Ace of Swords reversed, this person's a little bit afraid to approach you. They're afraid of rejection and afraid of abandonment. Yeah, honestly, with the Nine of Cups here, it looks kind of like a slow week. I'm not going to lie. Looks kind of like a slow week with not a lot of action happening. But there is somebody that's interested. They're just afraid. What I'm trying to figure out is, because I know this is a general reading for the masses, but I usually like to try to figure out who the majority is. Does the majority of you know about this, or the majority of you don't know about this? That's what I'm having a hard time figuring out here. With that Queen of Wands in the reverse, I'm kind of feeling like a lot of you are very aware of who this is and just aren't interested. Yeah, all communication and action cards are reversed, which would indicate a slow week. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of action. Look, every communication card, Page of Swords, Knight of Swords, Ace of Swords, all reversed. Well, I guess let's see their feelings, energies, and intentions. Do they actually want something like valuable? Are they interested in laying a foundation, building something solid, developing a life partnership? Or there was the Devil in the reverse that came out. I didn't even mention that. We'll see if that comes out again. What's this person's feelings, energies, and intentions? 5 of Cups. Maybe they've been recently hurt. Could be somebody fresh out of a relationship, and, I just got my heart broken. I just need to find somebody else real quick to make me feel better about myself. Could be a fellow water sign for some of you. Yeah, they're still very hung up on somebody from the past. Okay. Codependency. Yeah, I don't know if I want to say they're fresh out of a relationship. It doesn't necessarily need to be, but whether it was last week, last month, or last year, something happened that hurt them very badly. And now they just want somebody. Somebody, anybody. And, you fall into possibly a list of people that they're interested in. They just want to be with somebody. Somebody, anybody, and maybe they feel like you're attractive sexually, or maybe you're the only person of the gender they're attracted to in the environment. Like if it's somebody at the workplace. Like let's say you're a female and you work around predominantly females and there's one male. I don't know. Or I'm sorry. You work around predominantly males and this is a male and you're the only person. You get what I'm getting at, right? I don't know though. I don't know. It could be any number of things. But with the 9 of Cups reversed, with all this past energy, this is like, I just need to be in a relationship, man. I just need to find somebody because I'm broken, I'm hurt. I just need a relationship to make me feel better, essentially. Anyway, yeah, that's not very solid. Now, I will say that those aren't bad intentions, right? They're not trying to play games. They're not trying to manipulate you. But it's also not, it's not very wise. That's not a very wise approach to a connection. Does that make sense? Let's get the advice. What deck do I want to use? Miss Cleo. Miss Cleo. Queen of Swords reverse. Okay. See, here's the problem. I got to be able to give advice that will fit as many different situations as possible. I think the main piece of advice here, this is going to be very specific and it's only going to target mainly one group of you. Hopefully, maybe you all can apply this to whatever the situation is. Okay, so for those of you dealing with a situation where you know who this person is and you're not interested, but you haven't really made it clear. You know, maybe you're friendly with the person and you're kind of hoping they'll just get the hint and, you know, leave you alone. That ain't gonna work that way. When somebody is really desperately wanting you, any crumb of, you know, any kind of behavior, friendly, they'll take it as flirty. And I'm not saying be mean to them. I'm saying that it needs to be made very clear, this ain't going nowhere. It's not. Just to let you know, I need to be clear, because if you don't make that clear, people like this tend to float away into their imagination. You know, they will absolutely convince themselves that you want to be with them, and maybe today will be the day. And then over time, that builds tension. And the tension builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. Before you know it, the tension is so thick you could swim through it. And then you end up meeting somebody new. And then that's when the doo-doo hits the propeller. And that's not fun. That's when an explosion happens. You know? So, to try not to get too specific, that's always one of my big pet peeves, is when tarot readers read general readings way too specifically. Make your intentions known if you know who the hell I'm talking about. Now, for those of you who have absolutely no idea who the hell I'm talking about, let me give you a thought to play with. If the universe really wanted this person in your life, don't you think you would know who I'm talking about by now? Think about that. Trust that the universe does things the way it does for a reason. If this person was really supposed to be a part of your life, it wouldn't be so confusing to figure out who it was or when it was going to happen. Think about that. Even if there is somebody around me that's interested in me, okay, well, if it's really supposed to go somewhere, I hate to use this lingo, but if it was meant to be, it would be. If something was really supposed to happen, I'm trusting that the universe would make it happen. If the universe don't let it happen, I'm trusting that it ain't gonna happen. That's one of the hardest things about the spiritual path, is the trust-based process. That's probably one of the hardest parts, is trusting. This doesn't mean just lay back and don't do nothing. What it means is, even if you're doing your absolute best and things just don't seem to be working the way you want them to work, trust that somehow, some way, things are happening exactly the way they're supposed to. That's really hard when you're in the middle of a messy situation. That's really hard. Really, really hard. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. I want to stick to this situation right here. If you have no idea who the hell I'm talking about, like, who is this? I need to figure out who it is. Well, think about this. If the universe really wanted this person in your life, would it be so hard to figure out who it is? You would know. You would know. Don't try to force anything. Don't try to fight anything. Let things unfold the way they want to unfold and respond accordingly. All right, well, I feel like those were the messages that my Pisces family needed to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks again for tuning in and playing along. Don't forget, information for personal readings is all down here in the description. All right? I'm out of here now, y'all. I will see you sometime between now and the rest of all eternity. Stay blessed.